Hey, Corné here. New podcast live. Episode 2 is live now. It's all about conversion rate optimization for your e-commerce business. So start watching and listening it now. And don't forget to subscribe at immersify.com. It's free.
This is the Scale Up Show, bringing you the latest on income, marketing, and entrepreneurship.
What's all about today? Design over function, right?
Yeah, I think it's like the first thing, of course, you got to get when you obviously start an e-commerce store is an online store. If you don't have an online store, it's obviously going to be hard to sell something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the first step someone is going to get into. I mean, I think the first thing we can probably agree, all three of us on straight from the bat, go for Shopify.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's no argument needed. There's nothing else out there that can compete with it.
No,
Yes, if you think that you want to run an e-commerce business and it cannot run on Shopify, don't run an e-com business.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Then it's too complex.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like one of the biggest decisions, I think, already taken away. So you kind of know what you need. And to be honest, I mean, getting that Shopify account, so to say, I mean, you can start with basic. I think it's like, what is it, $29 a month or something. You can grow with it, but it's like legit all you need. You got a whole team of developers ready there for you who are, of course, backed by Shopify that can help you. And that's one of the biggest decisions taken away already. Like, you have the right platform.
Yeah. Like you said, there's nothing better than Shopify, I think, at the moment. I think it says enough that a lot of agencies now only work with Shopify, no longer work with Wix, with WordPress or anything like that. Everything from the user interface to, like you said, downloading the apps, the developers on the back end, the conversion rates, which we'll be getting into in just a moment, everything is just on point with Shopify.
Yeah. I got a question today from some entrepreneur asking me on YouTube. It was a comment on a video. He said, okay, it's in this question was, okay, Shopify is too expensive for me. So what should I do? Do it in WordPress? The funny thing is, if you do it in WordPress, the software is maybe free, but the time you need to install an e-com business and pay for some hosting, maybe you can get hosting for $10, $15, cheap hosting, but it takes you at least. You're a super fast guy if you can build a complete WooCommerce shop in one day. Then you are super fast. But you can build a Shopify shop in an hour.
Yeah,
the basics, or less. And if you pay $40 for this, they raise their prices next month. So it will be a little bit more expensive. But
hey man, inflation hits all of us.
Yeah, man.
But if you want to start an e-com business, if you start with maybe $1,000, you can build a great Shopify store.
100%.
You can buy a great team from a great developer, and you can start. You can go to 99 designs, design some logos, whatever. But if you are willing to invest $1,000, you have an amazing store.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think if you're not willing to pay $29 a month, then how likely are you to succeed as an entrepreneur? How likely is that business idea that you have going to succeed? Yeah, you can go the cheap route and try the WordPress, but if you invest in it from the start, like I said in the previous podcast, once you have that skin in the game, you're more likely to continue with it.
Yes, and it's important. What I always say to my customers is look at the total cost of ownership, and that's something different than the first investment. But total cost of ownership means what does it cost to maintain your WordPress site or to maintain your Magento site? That's not free. And if you need to hire a programmer, a good programmer in Europe and also in the US, will ask maybe $80, maybe $100 an hour. And 1 hour is nothing if they just look at your shop first. So they at least need 10 hours, maybe 20 hours to fix your problem. For that same money, you already have a year of Shopify. So
and of course there's also migration costs involved. Like, let's say you do start with that Magento, you do start with that WordPress. I quite often see that like 2, 3, 4 years down in the business, eventually you do make the decision to go switch to Shopify, because you just see like kind of the conclusion we're making on this call. You do start to make it for yourself as well. And then it becomes an even bigger hurdle, because then you have that whole database. Everything needs to move over. So it's kind of like, if you have the choice right now and you could start from the beginning, I would 100% advise Shopify.
Yeah, there's a reason why all the big guys are using it as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you look at the biggest websites, the biggest e-commerce websites, 99% of them will be on Shopify.
Yeah, and it's easy to scale. If it's a success, you can scale easily. You have a lot of apps integration, so it's super easy to make it bigger. If you start with, for example, 1 order a week, but if you grow to 100 orders a day, that's no issue for Shopify. You even don't pay more. It's the same price.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah,
do the
that's,
hosting for you, and good hosting and security. Don't forget the security is expensive, and they do it for you. So that's great.
Yeah. Completely agree.
And if you go to the design part, because if you now go to Shopify, and maybe you can use one of our links, and maybe you can go for free
Yeah, we can
team
always
or
put-
something.
exactly.
Maybe we can do an
100%.
affiliate link. We will think about that, and you find it somewhere below the video.
Well, we can
podcast.
definitely, we can put down below, of course, like where you can find Shopify. And we'll also put like 2 teams that we would recommend.
Yeah.
Just 2 teams we've seen like time and time again work in all kinds of niches. Now, obviously, is a team going to be a way to your success? Absolutely not. Yeah, it's just a team. It's just how it looks. It's just like based on what we see combining certain items with, it does really well. So if you would use this as like your core, like your basis to build out, it's a great solid foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, and the funny thing with the team is that, of course, you have your own brand identity, and maybe you spend some money on branding. But the fun part is that what we mostly see, and I tested a few times myself, is that just the default team from Shopify, you get it for free with Shopify, is mostly the highest converting team there is. It's free.
It's good.
And it's pretty good. So of course you can spend $10,000 on a team. You can also spend $100 on a team. But the free teams are sometimes, especially if they're built by Shopify, so then you know the code is really well. So you have no worries about hacks or whatever. If it's built by Shopify and it's free, if it's not built by Shopify and it's free, I always say, okay, be precaution. You never know what's maybe in it. But if it's just built by Shopify, start from there. Upload your logo and just start.
Yeah, 100%.
And don't overthink that process, because it's that team is so well developed, and it works so well on mobile, on tablet, desktop, whatever, that it's a great start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like also just what you say, like to jump in quickly on, make sure you design mobile first. Like I don't know how many times I need to say this, but like it's nice that your website looks great on desktop, but you're just not getting any traffic on desktop anymore. It's like a mobile game nowadays. That should be your first focal point.
Yeah.
That should be
Definitely
everything. Like every design decision you make should be mobile first, and then afterwards only look how it looks on desktop.
Yes, in the end, when if you hire a developer, whatever, for building your shop, and they will mostly, 99% of the time, they always show you the desktop version, because of course your developer is building your team on a desktop computer. You cannot build it on a phone, so they always first show you the desktop version, but always ask how well mobile works. That's and also test it. And if you have a team, test it with your team to your mobile site. It's so important to have that. It's fast and it works. Yes, logic. Yeah.
Yeah. From an agency perspective as well, like when we get the question, so when we analyze specific drop-offs, so let's say the product page is at a certain conversion rate, and the people drop off on that product page, so there's no one adding to cart, or a very small amount of people adding to cart, then my standard operating procedure at that point is to go into the ads manager. If they're running Facebook ads, go into the Facebook ads manager, look at the breakdown, look at the amount of traffic that is coming from mobile versus desktop. I already know right off the bat that it's going to be mobile first, so all of the traffic, the large majority of traffic will be from mobile. Then I'll look at the web page or the product page on mobile, and then figure out, why is it that people are dropping off. 9 times out of 10 is because they've optimized their whole store for desktop. Like Corné said, they've because the web developer is on the laptop, they'll develop the store on the laptop, and then more often than not forget the mobile version. And then you'll look at the mobile version, and it's obvious that it doesn't convert because it doesn't look the part. It's not optimized for mobile. And then a few simple tweaks usually solves that drop off.
I mean, it's like the biggest one thing is definitely your add to cart button. I think it's funny, it's like when we have like our weekly calls in Console X, it's like people come there and they kind of say the same problem. Like they have a client, they have a big problem, and there's a huge drop off, and we all say on the call, share your screen. They'll go to the website, we say turn on your mobile view.
Yeah, inspect the tool, and then
it's like there will be like almost 10, 11, 12 people screaming, look at your add to cart button, because it's like hidden. You have to scroll 3 times until you find it.
Yeah, we should get that printed on a t-shirt, man.
Like where's your add to cart button, bro?
Button above the fold.
It's above the fold, and make it green. It's always a discussion with my customers. I want it black because black looks like turned off by human sense, like default. It's not a good color to make it. Your traffic light is also green, so make it green. If you want people go through, Make the most important buttons, make it green, or what Amazon does is yellow, but green is even better, we see, for niche stores.
And it's like you don't need text. Like the things I hate the most is if as a consumer I'm trying to buy something, if I go to a product page and you have the description open before I can click on add to cart. Like I do not care what the description says.
Yeah.
No one reads this. You always want to have this closed. I would even put it hidden below. Like the only thing you really want to show is photos of your item, name of the item, color swatches, like what is the colors you offer, what sizes do you have, add to cart, and then below it you want to have clear points, like how much do they need to spend to get free shipping, are there free returns, what kind of special thing is it?
Yeah, like the guarantee and
like
stuff
guarantees. Like that's the only thing you want to make come across.
You have to make it visual, a loaded bar or something in your cart drawer where you can see, okay, you need to spend 20 extra bucks for getting free shipping, for example. That makes it much more easier to understand and makes fast shopping, especially in fashion. You want people order fast. Make it easy. And what is it? Or with the default theme, you can really do that. Maybe you do some tweaks, but don't overcomplicate it, and don't make a Christmas tree of your new website. What I mean is that you want a lot of features in it and install a lot of plugins. Just start with the basics and see if your product market fit and your offer is still working. It doesn't matter if you have the best website or a little bit worse website. If your offer is not great, people don't buy. I had a customer, he had an e-com store for Porsche parts. Porsche car parts. He was the only one in Europe selling his parts. His website, his checkout never worked, and he had over 100 orders a day because people want his products so they really wanted. So they start calling them, they start emailing them to place an order. And after 4 or 5 years, I was thinking, oh, maybe I need to make my process easier and fix my cart. And that was for me an eye-opener. I said, okay, you don't have to have a nice or even a working website to have an e-com business. Even without a working checkout, you can do sales if your product is, your offer is more amazing enough.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's like I'll be the first one to admit, like as an agency owner myself, is a lot of marketers, they can all, go and scream glory, like, look how great I am. Ultimately, we are just amplifying what's already there. If you have product market fit, you have an awesome item, you have an amazing brand, all I'm just doing is getting it in front of more eyeballs. I'm just amplifying your success. I think that's what a lot of people forget. And it's kind of like what a lot of people always say, like you can run ads on a broken item, it's not going to scale. But if you have an amazing item with terrible ads, most likely you're still going to make money because the item is just so great.
I'd say it comes down to the offer first, and that's obviously what we discussed in the first episode as well. Right? Like you need to nail that offer, and then once you have a good offer, once you have that product market fit, everything else is...
You kind of follow suit.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you start developing an e-com site or start beginning one or transfer to Shopify, whatever you want to try, keep it simple. Keep it simple for yourself. A migration from one platform to the other is always a headache. And if you make it more complex for yourself, it only takes longer. So try to keep it as simple as possible and iterate along, may make it better along, but don't start too complicated. And yes, what I said, try the default themes. Don't spend too much money on theme design. Also, you maybe think, oh, it looks so nice, but it's all about the conversion. And it's so surprising for me that there's so much customers only looking through the design and don't care about conversions. I had a huge discussion with a customer. We want all buttons pink on their website, and we came from green. Great conversions, but it must be pink. So we warned this customer, said, okay, please don't do it. But if it's your website, you pay us. If you want pink buttons, okay, we be fine. But you warned. We make it pink, conversions drop by more than 60%.
That's crazy.
And it takes us months to convince our customer that green was working better. Just also listen to your web developer. If you hire some professional, listen to them because they mostly know what they are doing.
I like what you said about the free theme though as well, because what people need to understand as well, the reason why that is the default theme on Shopify is because Shopify, when you get that free trial of Shopify want you to stay on the platform. They want to keep you as a customer. So obviously they're going to give you a theme right off the bat that converts and gets sales. So there's no real need unless you already have like certain best practices, or you already have themes on file, or you're ready to take that next step. If that is not all applicable, then there's no reason really why you should be, hunting down different themes and, like Corné said, have this Christmas tree of a site with all these little features and gadgets and all little knickknacks. Just keep it stupidly simple, and then focus on the offer, and then of course focus on what I mentioned before, is that conversion rate. Because I like what you said there when about the, like, sort of the best practices is having the product title, the image, and then the price, add to cart button, and then just having like the features like money back guarantee, etc. And then if you can still fit it in above the fold, have reviews, or at least the amount of reviews and the stars, have that between, I'd say, I'll probably say the below the image, above the add to cart button, somewhere there, have the reviews, and that's all you need really.
Yeah. And there's one thing, it's maybe even more important than your design. It's website speed. It's loading speed. Your ads won't. Even Facebook won't send you any traffic if you have the slowest website. Maybe you can turn on your ad. I don't know if you can. If it's.
It will have a big impact for sure. Your CPC won't look nice. That's the thing. That's for sure. You get a terrible.
And if you have. Add a lot of features to your website, it will always make it slower. Even Shopify is fast in the beginning. It's fast, but if you add a lot of tools to it, if you my competitor has this and my competitor has that, and I'll also install all the kind of apps. First, it will cost you a lot of money because you pay for most apps a monthly fee, so that adds up every month, and it makes your website slower. So people really like fast, super fast websites. And if you can load it below 2 seconds, you get a lot more chance to get conversions. A lot more conversions.
The easy example is that if you're on Wi-Fi. The first, if my Wi-Fi is slow at home, first thing I do is I switch over to 5G, just because I'm so impatient, and like a large majority of people think the same way. So if your website does not open up right away or within at least the first 2 seconds, people, especially if they're not loyal to the brand, they're gonna just click back to whatever they were doing.
Man, Speedy Gonzalez, they're gone, man.
Exactly.
They're out of here.
Yeah, and the way what you said there as well with the Facebook ads, your cost per click will go up, your CPM will go up, because Facebook works off of feedback loops. So if you're optimizing for a specific conversion, let's say you want more purchases for your store, and Facebook is sending traffic off of their platform onto your website, and they are not converting, because Facebook know everything, right? They have so many data points on everyone, and they know people that are most likely to convert because they are, put in a specific pool. So when you optimize for conversions, Facebook will then show your ads to those specific people. If they are then not converting, Facebook are going to blame you or your website, and they're going to penalize you by increasing your cost per click and increasing your CPM, and then giving someone else who has a better converting website that has that positive feedback loop, they're going to give them the lower CPM.
You want to help these ad platforms help you. It's like a lot of people always put the blame to the big tech companies.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like as well as, if you do not help them, why should they help you? So ultimately, you're, of course, I get it, you're paying for it. But it's kind of like they're sending people from their platform to your site. So if your site doesn't work and these people bounce, the first person they're going to blame is that ad company, because that's where they're being sent from. Yeah. And there's one thing that these companies do not like at all, and that's that being done to them.
Yeah. So and it's the same for your organic reach, also even from social, but also from Google. If your site is slow, Google won't rank you, and you can see it in Google page speed, and we maybe can share a video about how that works. But it's so important to have this speed right. It's much more important than your design. That's I always say it a dozen times to anyone, but it's always a hard discussion, because people want the best design or want a unique website, but it's sometimes better to just do what works and use a team what is proven work than just try to create your own unique design with complex navigations. What people need to learn about how to use your website. And that's not your main goal, to reinvent the usability tool.
I mean,
your main goal is to sell your product.
Yeah, just don't reinvent the wheel. Kind of with this as well. Like if you start out, I get it, everyone wants to have a unique site, they want to do this, and of course I'm all for it. You want to build your brand, you want to show it out there, but it's kind of like the logical step would kind of be is like, hey, this is my product, who are the leaders in my market right now? We got company A and B, go to their Shopify site, and I can guarantee you they're going to be identical, because there's a reason why these two are at the top, because they've done all this testing already before you. They know your client avatar, they know what colors they respond to, and you will see if you put these two sites next to each other, they're going to look very identical. Same sections, same titles, which kind of then tells you, okay, hey, maybe I should just kind of copy this and go for there. You know, that's why the great Virgil Abloh always said, great art is steal.
Yeah,
there's a reason to it.
Yeah. Yes, and what's more important is your content, right? It's
true.
You can. I always said if you for example, are willing to spend $5,000, maybe $10,000 for a website, I say, okay, maybe spend $3,000 for the website and save $7,000 for the content. And great images makes the end of your brand. Just using stock photos is not making your brand, or it's not growing your website. But use unique images, especially for fashion. If you can have the same model, for example, every time, but it gives more brand identity than just white backgrounds.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So then if we look at the product page, and we've now optimized that, so we're now getting the conversion from view content to add to cart. What would you say would be the next step? Like if someone adds to cart, are there specific best practices that you would follow?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's not like a no-brainer, but I would definitely advise a cart slider.
Yeah,
I just see it's like there's so many options you can do there. It's just a nice visual way that opens up on the right side, and at the top you can very quickly add like how much more should I spend to get free shipping. Yeah, it's like so visual you cannot lose it. And then of course to add on top of that, if they need to spend an extra $20-30 to add free shipping, boom, they upsell, frequently bought together 3 items. And this is all AI based, so you can just put this onto the data on your site, and this tool will know, hey, people who bought dress A most likely also bought skirt B or bought hat C. And then by doing that, so they can very quickly add something to their cart to get to the free shipping threshold.
Yeah, and that'll also increase your AOV, which will make your return on ad spend higher, will make it easier to run ads. Like you said at the start there, when if the store doesn't convert or there's no product market fit, we can run the best ads in the world, but it's not going to work. It's much easier to work with businesses and work with brands that already have everything figured out, and then we just come in and augment what is already working, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, and rather trying to figure out everything from the start. And that is obviously the reason why I think all 3 of us now no longer work with startup companies or companies without the product market fit.
Exactly.
Help winners win more.
And it's kind of like, it's of course it's true, and it's annoying because there's a lot of people, most likely maybe also listen to this podcast, they just started with e-commerce, they just have a startup, and that's why we really keep hammering down product market fit. And how I would personally go about trying to find this is quite often people who start a business, they either make something that they can't find themselves in the market, which is a great way to start. So that would mean for you, kind of from an organic perspective, maybe within your direct niche or a direct, let's say, communication sphere, find people who are similar to you. Like, do they also have this need? Yeah. Because if you're the only person with the need and you cannot find a direct other person with this need, I would personally kind of go back maybe to the drawing board, because then maybe there is something very unique you have. You do want to have something that's available. It's like I always kind of say, you have this market and you can always sketch it in like a pie. Let's say we're all eating a wonderful pumpkin pie here with 3 slices. The easiest slice always to sell to is people already need it. Yeah. I always give yoga as an example. If I want to get fit, I want to increase my flexibility and I decide I want yoga, these people are the easiest to sell to. Yeah. But they're already in the market for the service. You just have to show them the ad and convince them you're better than the other person. Here you can run your business all day long, but it's like only so big. So very quickly you get kind of to your second pie, which is just people who want to get fit, they want to get flexible, but they haven't decided yet they need yoga. So your ads change here, your website changes, because you need to convince them that you're the best person and they need yoga. Yeah. And then kind of where big scale happens, the biggest piece of the market, which you want to get to as quick as possible, because this is kind of where you get to the multi-millions in revenue, is people who haven't decided they want to get fit, haven't decided they want to get flexible, and haven't decided they want to get yoga. So now you have 4 points you need to convince them on, which makes it way harder, and that's where people kind of go wrong. They take the content from pie 1, they take the website from pie 1, and they go to pie 3. Yeah. And it doesn't work, of course, because it's a completely different pain point, different scenario.
Yeah, I like that. So basically the first pie is people that are problem aware and solution aware. The second pie is people that are problem aware but not solution aware. Yes. And then that third pie is people that are not problem aware nor solution aware. And like you said, there's a lot more convincing that needs to go into it in order to get someone from not even knowing they have a problem to knowing they have a problem and also having the solution that they like and that they're ready to purchase.
Yeah, and you need to go through these 3 charts. Like you will never start in by number 3. No. You'll always start at 1, because that's where you find product market fit. And that's how you know you have product market fit, because you can get people like this going to your business all the time. And I think once you have that going, I think that's the perfect way to get to that second pie, so to say, where you really go after people who are maybe a little bit similar to you, but you only have to convince them your item is it that fulfills their need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and and if that phase is ready, it's important to have build some trust with your website, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
For the third buy, you need trust.
Yeah,
it's kind of like in the first parts, let's say, of your sequence, is people are maybe happy to be a guinea pig, like because you really. I think the perfect example is the iPhone. When it comes out, you got people sleeping in front of the store. Yeah. Like these people are more...
yeah, of course, yeah, all the time. And I'm always, it's in September mostly, the weather is still nice.
It's like, if like at 9 o'clock the Apple show goes live, 1 minute past 9, either I call Corné calls me, Erin, what's in your shopping bag? We already know, okay, yeah, new iPhone, new MacBook, but it's kind of like, it's...
Yeah, and we ordered at Apple because we know, okay, they always ship, and they don't go bankrupt overnight, if everything else, so that's safe. And if you have a new store and you need to build trust, it's important to add a few basic elements to your website. And what I mostly see is if the about page, I think it's really important to have, but most e-commerce owners only create the about page when they build a new website and never look at it again. And if you look in your statistics, you will see that you have daily visitors on your about page. And what you can say about that visitor is that they are a little bit hesitated to order from you. So they want first know more about your company before they are willing to order. And if you have a silly about page or not up-to-date information, it will cost you a lot of conversion. So spend a few hours, it's not so hard to write an about page just about yourself, about your company, and keep it up to date. Add some pictures of your team, maybe your building, just a picture of your warehouse, and don't be afraid that it needs to be professional pictures. Just create them with your iPhone, for example. That will be fine, but build some trust there. And of course, reviews will add trust. You can install a review. It's in default in Shopify, or it's a plugin, but you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they offer a free plugin themselves.
Free plugin to create reviews, super important. And try to get some external reviews. And yes, the way to go at the moment, I think, is still just use Google reviews. It's free. Yeah. Of course, you can use paid services, but yes, why you should use something paid if Google is really trustworthy? So I think you can use Google products and shop reviews for your shop.
Yeah, and don't be afraid as well to show your face. Like, show who you are, show who's behind the brand. Like, there's a reason why. If I speak of Tesla, we all know Elon Musk. If I speak of
people
Facebook,
buy from people.
Yeah,
people
exactly. You don't buy for a brand, and it's like, of course, I'm now giving examples of big tech companies, but if you look at just the e-com niche as well, like we have Kylie Jenner Cosmetics, we have Gymshark, Ben Francis. Everyone knows these people. And there's a reason for it, So it's kind of like I said, don't be afraid of showing your face, like show who you are.
Yeah.
And of course, people kind of then give the counter argument, but I don't have a lot of followers. You don't need it. People just want to kind of see who is behind this, and they can quite often then buy into that.
Yeah, people want to see the journey as well. And I think that is the reason why Alphalete became as big as it was, is because on a daily basis, Christian Guzman was documenting the journey and also showing how he was growing Alphalete. So people already had that trust because they can see how hard he's working behind the scenes. Like, obviously, that is, you already had a big influence and a big brand. So that, obviously skews sort of his data in a way. But if you just start out and document the journey, then people will naturally be interested in what you're doing and what you have to sell. And more often than not, they'll probably just end up purchasing your products because they trust you or they believe in you and your vision and your brand. And it's also quite funny that nowadays, when I go on YouTube, more often than not, I'll actually be more interested in the smaller channels because I feel like now they are more realistic and more raw, and I feel I can get more value but also more benefit from watching that content rather than something that is super high quality, super high production, because I know that they already hit that point where they where they want to be, whereas the come up for me is much more interesting and much more much more enjoyable to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a great, I think, avenue that, of course, YouTube has created for us. That it allows people to put that content out there. Because I mean, it's like if I just look, because all three of us have our own channel as well. So it's like at a certain point we did decide, hey, this is something we potentially want to explore. Yep. We do want to have, whether it be information or you want to show something, and you just want to put it out there because you kind of can help people.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the large majority of sales for both More Life Garments as well as the coaching programs, they've come through our personal brands.
Yeah, exactly.
We had that discussion on the very first mastermind. How does everyone know each other? every single person there followed either of us on Instagram first, then found our YouTube channels, and only then actually decided to invest into our programs. So, having that brand alongside it, having that personality of yourself, or, just showing your face, definitely has its benefits.
Yeah, and that's good. And then their numbers don't matter. It's like, if I, for example, look at my own YouTube, it's like it has, I don't know, not even 1,000 subscribers, but I know every single person that's subscribed to that YouTube is exactly someone I want to speak to when it comes to the information I have. Yeah. So it's kind of like if you have a core group who you can speak to directly is way more valuable than having like 100,000 people who don't really care. Yeah. And I think that's why you kind of had like 2-3 years ago, kind of that tide switching within this like influencer market, where you saw a lot of big influencers with millions of followers, but they cannot move a single product because it's like a group of this, a group of that. It's like a complete mix. So it's just not interesting for a business or a brand to buy into because there's nothing there for them.
Yes, and if you want to create some content, but a lot of questions I get, okay, but what do I need to put on my page? What do you need to put on my socials? But just take your customer behind the scenes. Gary Vaynerchuk said, I'll say, don't create, just document. And that's, so it's more easy to do, but it's also, it gives your brand more trustworthy. If you just put on some videos on your socials or whatever, or some pictures, what are you doing? Also, if you're working on a new website, show your customers that you're working on a new one. Don't just launch the new website. Just show them that you're working on a new website, because also if you change your website overnight and your fast customer they see complete new website, they maybe don't think, is it still the legit website it was before? So if you have social proof on social media from weeks before that you show, we are building on a new website, it takes maybe a few months or a few weeks before it's online, you also get great feedback from your customers. That what I see, when customers of me are launching pre-launch their new website, you get a lot of feedback from customers. Maybe you can change this or that, and you get a lot of new insights. It's also free usability tests you do with just do it together with your customer. Show them what are you doing.
Yeah, if I look at my YouTube channel now, my most viewed video is still a day in the life, which I remember shooting it because I was planning a road trip to the US, and I sort of had like this calendar ready with YouTube content that I wanted to shoot prior to going to the US, so that when I was there, I didn't have to stress out about YouTube videos because I already have all these videos like pre-scheduled. And there was one video that I really did not want to do just because I lost heart in the topic. I can't even remember what the topic was. So rather than shooting that specific video, I just shot a day in the life because I had meetings that day. I thought, you know what, let me just record sort of small little snippets of me, in the meetings, out the meetings, what I'm doing in between the meetings, looking at the ads manager, etc. Like really like low value, at least, low intensity content for me to record because I'm just literally documenting what I'm doing. In my opinion, there was no value in it, but that is still my most viewed video. I think it's already got like 40,000 views or something like that. And people actually say that is one of the most valuable videos because they got raw footage of what it's like to run an agency behind the scenes. And then another example is More Life Garments. The first time I launched the unemployable hoodie, I brought everyone along with me sort of behind the scenes. So I was showing people the mock-ups, I was showing people the samples, even the samples that went wrong. I ordered a couple of samples where the quality just was not up to scratch. I show people like the drawings of what the hoodie looks like, etc. And that first launch, I think I got like 10 sales within the first hour of launching that site. Whereas the second launch, the Circle of Winners collection, I didn't take anyone behind the scenes because I thought, well, I've already got this customer base. I don't necessarily need to be promoting this on my socials as much as the first time. So all I did was I sent out an email blast, and I only got a couple of sales off that second launch when I launched it, compared to the first one where everyone was really up for it. Everyone was waiting for me to drop those hoodies. And just the only difference between those two launches was one was documenting behind the scenes and showing people insights, and like Corné said, offering them the opportunity to give feedback as well. And the second launch, I didn't do any of that, and the differences in sales was night and day.
Yeah, and in the storytelling that helps. People like to see you just do a sales pitch. It is not working. But if you make a more sort of storytelling at your personal story behind your offer, why you're doing it, it will also help. And it also same for your e-com store. Yes, introduce yourself. That works so much better.
Yeah, I think storytelling is important.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like how you call it. what always works the best when it comes to YouTube is ultimately it's the get rich quick scheme. You know, like if you look at what are the videos with the most views, it's like a billionaire morning routine, billionaire breakfast guide. You know, it's kind of like what just ultimately nowadays people click into. So if you know this information is out there, you can of course kind of put your own twist to it. Because I think it's kind of what you said, which are day in the life doing the best. It's kind of like if I sometimes look at my DMs, I get like people asking me, "Hey Aaron, what do you do for breakfast? Do you do intermittent fasting?" And when I read this, I'm like, why is that relevant? You don't know me. You kind of maybe saw a YouTube video and then you sent me a message, asked me the question. It's like, why does that matter? So it seems like that's kind of what then goes through people's heads, so they think that maybe impacts it. Maybe that's why, for example, 75 hard, the training routine, if you call it, why it becomes so popular. So I think maybe then people think that gets them to go somewhere. And again, of course, it's a mindset thing. But it's like you, of course, can play into this. Ultimately, we all know the American dream. Everyone loves a success story. I mean, Hollywood is created on it. So you can tap into this. Yeah.
It's funny because also, I think that's why our 7-figure mastermind did as well as it did, is because people just wanted an insight into who we are, outside of sort of the agency or who's the guy behind the camera. Because obviously they only see our heads on Zoom and on YouTube and stuff. But then what do we do outside of that? Are we the same person? Do we have the same personality as we do online? What do we do on a regular basis? How often are we, working on our laptops and so on and so forth? And I think, at least, if I listen to the feedback from especially the first mastermind, is that people were just genuinely curious in what our day-to-day is like. And obviously, you can't really show that on a mastermind, but they can ask us. They can say, okay, what time do you get up? What time do you start work? What time do you end work? How many hours do you spend behind the laptop each and every day? Stuff like that is interesting for people because I think they want to know what's behind the curtain.
Yeah, they want to try to model you, and that's also my advice. If you want to
emulate,
yes, of course, emulate it. Yes, and that will work. But if you show it, that makes it even more powerful.
Yeah,
especially for an e-com store. I think if you start an e-com store today, video will be king. Content will always be king, and it's so important to share your background story, share behind the scenes, how is your logistics working, all the things. People are really like to see how the package is going from your warehouse shelf to the post office, for example. People like to see that. They like to be entertained. And that's maybe nothing to do with your offer, but you're building a brand if you do share your background.
Yeah. I like the way we're talking about keeping things raw and natural after dropping 4K on this podcast setup.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think always with stuff like this, when it comes to gear, if you like to call it, it's ultimately you need to do what motivates you. It's I'm always for it's you technically of course we only live once. If you want to get to the gym and by you buying that new pair of trainers, it gets you going. By all means, buy the trainers.
I'm the same. I'm the exact same.
Yeah,
so
sure. Yeah.
It's something with hey, we got together, we want to do a podcast, and I'm 100% the guy. Okay, let's definitely get the best stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
Because it commits me to really get to it.
It's skin in the game.
Exactly. You get skin in the game, and you really know what you're doing.
Yeah. We could record this on our phones, and then I 100% guarantee there will not be a second podcast.
No, exactly. It's you have to make that commitment for yourself. And whatever you do in life, I think you should do it in every angle.
It's also a little bit of present. I like for myself, if I look at myself, I always like to make monthly, weekly goals for myself. And sometimes say, if I hit this goal, I buy myself a new pair of AirPods, for example. Or I buy this new Rodecaster thing because we want to do a podcast. Because we like it to have the greatest, latest hardware, Aaron. And we really like that to have.
I cannot lie.
And I think, and it's also sort of present. If you are entrepreneur, you have a lot of things to do, and you need to reward yourself. Of course, you get your salary, you make your money, but also I think it's super important to make some recurring rewards for yourself if you hit your personal goals. To maybe buy an Apple Watch, buy a new phone, or on holiday. But doing a holiday is sometimes more difficult because you're starting up a business, so you don't have time to go on holiday. But just buy something what you like. It can be a new pair of shoes, some hardware, whatever.
Yeah, you definitely, it's you need something beside. It's when people always ask me, it's how can you stay committed? And it's it's to a certain extent hard to say because I've never really been the person who really needs a break or something because I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I know it's when we, for example, we're on the mastermind, at the conversation with Corné as well, it's I can have dinner And right now I can have a pop-up, I have a meeting 1 minute, like I can legit walk there, open it up, and within a second, like I'll be on the spot to do what I need to do. And maybe that's like, maybe it's a blessing or a skill I just have. But if you do not have this, definitely find something. Yeah. Like I know for myself, I need to at least like once a week play some golf, just to let some steam off. Yeah. Like there's something I can do for myself, and I would, from the beginning, have something that allows you to take your mind kind of out of it. Yeah. And that's also like what we discussed earlier is if you, for example, start a business but you still live at home, please make sure your office is not the same as your bedroom. Because otherwise there will be no barrier for you. Like you need to have a separate room where you work compared to where you sleep.
Yeah, or hire a co-working space or go to Starbucks or whatever and start working there. But also reward yourself with things and also make it more comfortable. And that's really important what you say, Aaron. Try to separate private and work. It's better for yourself, better for your family. And also, of course, it's important to work hard and make a lot of hours, but also do something for yourself and for your family. It's super important.
Yeah, I think that's probably how we can end this podcast. I think there's a lot of valuable things we say here. But I would everyone who listens to this, like put a goal there right now, something you're going to achieve at the end of the week. Once you achieve and got that goal, you go out and get that thing you wanted to get yourself and tag us.
Yes, and if you listen to this podcast, make a screenshot on your phone and tag us and maybe ask your question and share your goals with us. Maybe we can invite someone to the show. And
exactly.
I like that.
Cool.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know on socials, on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Email me. And don't forget to subscribe at immersify.com. And next episode will be live very soon. Stay tuned.